Tonight on Cronkite News, while some schools are shutting back down amid the coronavirus crisis, we spoke to 2 local schools that are succeeding with in-person learning.
Plus, why Arizona teachers are bolting from their classrooms at a higher rate more than ever before.
And the Native American vote. A little later in the show, we take a look at how their struggles throughout American history could influence the way they cast their ballots.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm ROSAURA WARDSWORTH.
And I'm Tyler Mannion. Thank you for joining us. Coronavirus cases in the United States have continued to increase. The United States reports nearly 60,000 new COVID-19 cases. That's the highest level in about 2 months. And in Arizona, cases are on the rise as well. This morning, the Arizona Department of Health Services reported 1,113 new coronavirus cases and 17 additional deaths. That brings the state totals to nearly 229,000 cases and over 5,700 deaths related to the virus.
Meanwhile, Arizona school districts are starting to allow high school students back on campus. After much consideration and listening to feedback from students and teachers, some superintendents have made the decision to completely reopen. Reporter Stephanie Rosales checks with Brophy and Westmec to learn more.
High schools like Brophy College Preparatory may look a little different after being close to students for more than 6 months. But after monitoring the benchmarks provided by the Arizona Department of Health Services, the school is back open for in-person learning. Brophy's principal, Bob Ryan, believes schools should reopen and students learn best in person.
We're not willing yet to concede that we need to run a virtual school until COVID is gone from the face of the earth. We think, and increasing evidence is demonstrating, that you can have schools run safely, in the midst of the pandemic.
He and the school's leadership team are committed to following health guidelines to ensure teacher safety and minimize risk. They hold meetings with faculty and staff to answer any questions and concerns they may have.
Overall, the feeling is we're comfortable as a community with this, but that doesn't mean we're comfortable and not aware. So there are still, like I mentioned, if questions come up, they get answered.
Some of the changes Brophy made includes providing plexiglass barriers in office areas and classrooms, as well as hand sanitizer locations all over the campus. Students must make sure to wipe down and sanitize all areas after each use. The Westmec Northeast Campus in North Phoenix structures their curriculum through a hands-on experience. With a focus on career and technical education, the school feels the need to have all students back on campus.
This is what CT is about. They're in our learning space, and if they're in our automotive program, they get to work in the automotive shop. If they're in our medical assisting program, they get to work in our clinic. And this is important for their learning experience.
As for Brophy, students have the option to come back to campus or continue their learning online.
Am I good to go on, guys at home?
At both high schools, students are required to keep their mask on unless they are sitting down to eat. Directors strongly believe in the idea that all students must share the responsibility to follow CDC guidelines to keep schools open and keep the vulnerable around them safe.
Really, this becomes part of our culture now as a campus. And in order for us to continue meeting together and moving along your CTE journey, these are the things that we need to do to be safe and allow for that to happen.
We ask students to think about, while they might not be at risk, or they might not know anybody who's at risk, they have teachers who are, or the teachers have family members who are. And so, again, for students to have a lived experience of self-sacrifice for the greater good, I think is that's a silver lining in all this for me.
As the weeks go on, high schools will continue to monitor and follow health and safety guidelines on a weekly basis provided by county health departments. Stephanie Rosales, Cronkite News.
Brophy and the Northeast Campus for Westmec have committed to allowing all students to return back to campus. Other high schools are still waiting to make a decision to reopen so students can finish their semester in person.
Even though some schools are succeeding in reopening their classrooms, others have decided to shut down after reopening. Arizona's most populated county, Maricopa County, is reporting 23 schools have had COVID-19 outbreaks since August. According to the county, 91% of those outbreaks came from open schools. Maricopa also reports 67% of the cases involve students, while 33% involve teachers. Even several universities, including Arizona State and the University of Arizona, have decided to close their campuses once again following Thanksgiving break.
Arizona education has always been in the throes of a teacher shortage, but this year, coronavirus has made things a bit more difficult. An annual survey found many teachers have resigned with the primary reason of COVID-19. Tina Giuliano reports.
Arizona schools have always struggled with a teacher shortage, but the coronavirus pandemic has made it worse, according to an annual survey by the Arizona School Personnel Administrators Association.
And if you saw in our results, over 300 teachers resigned or decided to retire with the primary reason of COVID.
Past president of the Arizona School Personnel Administrators Association, Justin Wing, said that when schools opened this fall, 28% of teacher positions were vacant, up from last year's 21%. Wing says that of the 751 teachers who quit, 326 cited coronavirus as the primary reason for leaving. Another 138 took an unpaid leave of absence because of the virus. It's the same in Tucson, says Pima Unified School District Superintendent Sean Rickert.
I've got about 3 teachers that have already said at the end of this year that they're done.
While teachers often complain about the workload, that's just part of the reasons some gave for stepping away this year.
I don't think it's 100% related to the workload. It is definitely COVID related.
One problem is the new demands teachers face in the COVID era.
Significantly more challenging to teach in a remote environment.
For other teachers, like Tempe teacher Beth Lewis, health concerns play a part.
I have other friends who have quit over it, and they're amazing teachers, but they have health conditions and their families have health conditions.
The pandemic adds to a problem that Arizona schools have long grappled with: money.
Are you going to go to Texas where you can make $60,000, or are you going to Arizona where you can make $40,000?
As in years past, Arizona schools have filled about half of the vacancies with teachers who are not certified. Wing said there are those still interested in teaching, but fewer are making a long-term career out of it.
But ultimately, that still doesn't give us that pool where we have kiddos going to college of ed, graduating early 20s, and making teaching a 30-year profession.
Lewis said teachers have to be safe for themselves and for their families. In Washington, Tina Giuliano, Cronkite News.
Even with this year's added difficulties, educators like Rickard and Lewis aren't optimistic that the teacher shortage will get better soon. Wing said this year is just a bit more stressful than most.
The annual Datos Conference, the state of Arizona's Hispanic market, took place virtually today. Cronkite News reporter Delaney White has details about the topics they covered. Delaney?
The 24th Datos, the state of Arizona's Hispanic market, is a comprehensive compilation of research on the impact of Hispanics on the Arizona marketplace. The annual report shows the economic impact of the state's Latino population. It also includes data on a variety of topics, including small business ownership, healthcare, and how these things affect the Latino population statewide. This Datos focused on education and educational mobility in marginalized communities. Dr. Victor Rios, who is the Dean of Social Sciences at the University of California, Santa Barbara, spoke at the conference. He explains this impact mentorship opportunities for Latino students can have on their educational career.
Providing these opportunities for our students allows them to move beyond that world of struggling, beyond the world of inadequate housing, beyond the world of disparate health outcomes, and beyond the world of not making enough to support a family. And we see that data in Datos, right? That's why Datos is so important. It shows the disparities. It shows that our Latino students are not doing as well as other students. And that's where we need to step it up in the business community, in the political community, in the education community.
A separate virtual panel event will be held on October 22nd to discuss how to better serve Hispanic students in the Broadcast Center. Delaney White, Cronkite News.
Coming up next on Cronkite News, Election Day is only 19 days away. Will we know who won in key races before we go to bed that night? Find out what top officials are saying after the break.
And the top issues Arizonans think the government should take more action on. Next.
This month in Passport, your on-demand library of the best of PBS.
Everyone has secrets. Are you protecting someone?
I have no choice.
You do have a choice. You're looking at him.
That's amazing. We could be standing on top of a T-Rex right now.
Women demanded new space and pushed the boundaries of what being a lady means.
These and other shows are available with Passport. Become a member of this PBS station. Sign in and start streaming today.
I'm Judy Woodruff, anchor and managing editor of the PBS NewsHour. The journalists of tomorrow face a fast-changing media landscape, but quality news remains vitally important to our communities, our country, and our world. At ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, students learn solid, reliable reporting, holding the powerful accountable, and rebuilding the public's trust. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS, preparing the next generation for a stronger future of journalism.
Ready to watch the best of PBS anytime, anywhere, on nearly any device? It's easy with the free PBS Video app. Simply download the PBS Video app on your mobile or streaming device. Now you can watch the latest PBS episodes or catch up on the shows you missed. And when you support your local station, you can get PBS Passport, giving you access to more episodes, more specials, more of what you love.
Take a look at the scene outside the Senate confirmation hearings in Washington today. As you can see, protesters on both sides clashed outside the Supreme Court. People dressed up, held signs, chanted, sang, or took to the streets to share their views on Amy Coney Barrett's confirmation. This comes on day 4 of the hearings, as Barrett moves one step closer to being confirmed as the next Supreme Court justice. The Q&A portion of the hearing is now complete, and the Senate Judiciary Committee has formally set a panel vote on Judge Barrett's nomination for October 22nd, despite Democratic objections. The committee is controlled by Republicans and is almost certain to advance Barrett's nomination for a full Senate vote. Democrats have claimed the process is being rushed. With less than 3 weeks until the presidential election, Democrats have raised doubts over whether they would hear from a panel of witnesses who were prepared to give testimony on Thursday.
The motion is passed. We'll be voting on Amy Coney Barrett to be Associate Justice of the Supreme Court at 1 o'clock on October the 22nd.
Republicans are pushing Barrett's nomination through just before the election. Although in 2016, when a Democrat was in the White House, they argued that Supreme Court justices should not be confirmed in an election year.
As for the race to the White House, top election officials in Arizona do not expect final results to be released on election night. Secretary of State Katie Hobbs credits a historic voter turnout and usual post-election process as reasons why there will likely be a delay in the count. Hobbs says her office is focused on being accurate and voters can rest assured the count will be secure, but patience will be needed. Hobbs' office recently reversed course and appealed a court order extending Arizona's voter registration deadline to October 23rd. But on Tuesday, an appeals court shortened that deadline to today. Early ballots will start being counted 14 days before Election Day and will be part of the first preliminary results reported at around 8 p.m. on November 3rd. Votes cast at polling locations will be reported as counties report them to the state. Hobbs warned counties will prioritize processing and counting over reporting the results. The Secretary of State has until December 3rd, exactly 1 month from Election Day, to finalize the results for the state.
Right now, Democratic challengers continue to lead in the 2 races at the top of Arizona's November ballot. That's according to a new OH Predictive Insights survey of likely voters in our state. The poll shows Democrat Joe Biden holds a 4-point lead over President Donald Trump. Biden has consistently led Trump by 3 to 4 points in polling averages in the last 6 months. In the Senate election, Democrat Mark Kelly leads GOP Senator Martha McSally by 5 points. However, the race seems to be getting even tighter as McSally's non-stop barrage of negative advertising cuts into Kelly's approval rating.
Another recent survey done by the Morrison Institute shows Arizonans believe the government should be taking more action on combating climate change. Cronkite News reporter Nicole Long has more information on what this means for the upcoming election.
The Morrison Institute at Arizona State University, in partnership with the Nina Poleman Trust, released results from a poll titled Attitudes and Opinions About Environmental Issues in Arizona. The poll sampled 800 Arizona registered voters back in March 2017 and again in January 2020 about their feelings on the environment and environmental issues. According to Morrison Institute Director Stephen Killar, there has been a large shift within these past few years.
One of the most significant changes that we saw over the course of the 3 years was a big shift in intensity about Arizonans' concerns regarding the environment. We saw a 10 percentage point increase in Arizonans saying that environmental issues were very serious. It went up from 31% of the population saying that in 2017 to 41% saying that in 2020.
The poll also showed a large number of the population felt the need for government action.
Another major change that we saw over the 3-year period is an increase, a significant increase in the number of Arizonans who think that the federal and the state governments need to be doing more to combat climate change.
Trust President and CEO Gene D'Adamo stated that Arizona voters look towards government officials to kickstart change.
What we hope as a result of this polling is that Arizonans as a whole will call for more focused conversation about the environment within the legislature. And people want and expect more action on behalf of the local, the governor, the legislator, nationally as well. So I think Arizonans are looking to our officials to do more about that.
Nicole Long, Cronkite News.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Tune in tomorrow for an hour debate between the 2 candidates for Maricopa County Attorney here on Arizona PBS. And for top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.